All right. Hello, everybody. We just reached halftime of Illinois um, Loyola. So let's get this thing going. I'm going to gather up a link and send it out. So bear with me for one quick second. Playing out the way it has so far. Illinois closed a little strong to get it to single digits, but a 9-point Illinois deficit at halftime is pretty great for people who want chaos and also who want to see Illinois fans see their misery because I think Illinois really wanted this Michigan Illinois rivalry to be a thing that Michigan fans didn't really even know existed till a couple weeks ago. But now they've got all the attention on them, and 20 minutes away from this being a pretty great upset. So I am going to send out this link right now. All right, it is out, and we've got some people rolling in. So good deal. Originally wanted this to be more Michigan focused than anything else because I think a lot of people are worried about Michigan LSU going into tomorrow. I have concerns as well, but once you're in the second round of the NCAA tournament, I don't think you're going to really have many easy games. It's a 1-8, but LSU's playing great. They're a top 25 Ken Palm team, and I think this is probably a 5 or 6 point spread. Haven't seen it directly. If anyone knows, throw that in the chat. But you're not going to get buys in the round of 32 or the Sweet 16 or anything after that. And Illinois is finding that out right now against Loyola too. But there's a lot of 3-6 matchups, 2-7 matchups, and a couple 1-8 matchups that, yeah, on paper the higher rated team should be able to quote unquote easily win, but all these games are single digit spreads at this point, and anything can happen in March. Michigan's kind of been on the good side of that with putting together a run. 2013 as a number 4 seed, 2018 I think they were a 3, but it's not, life as a 1 seed isn't all rainbows and butterflies and cake, and that's why um, you're not seeing a lot of Final Fours with all 4 number 1 seeds or even 3, sometimes 2. So anything crazy can happen. Kind of leave it up to you guys. Oh, thank you, Sam. Michigan 5.5 point favorite. So yeah, that's kind of right where I was thinking it would be. So leave it up to you guys if you want to talk more Michigan, talk more general tournament stuff, whatever you guys want. But I figured it's a good time to talk basketball. First 2 days of this tournament have been incredible, and I say that because it's been a 2-day tournament so far, not a 3-day tournament. No matter what fan bases of certain first 4 teams that lost may want you to think, but yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement around basketball in general. I think nobody's ever really taken the NCAA tournament for granted, but I think losing it last year made everyone all the more excited for this year's tournament. And in the first 2 days, has not disappointed. It's been really exciting. Not always the highest quality ball, but very exciting. Um, Texas Abilene Christian last night was a great finish to watch. I don't think anyone would argue that it's been a great game, but give me some games in the 50s and the 60s that have a lot of drama and maybe not the highest quality of play, and I'll still take that. So let's start taking some questions and talk some hoops until we get back to the second half of Illinois Loyola, which I'm guessing people would rather watch than sit here and listen to me answer questions. While I go through questions, quick reminder, if you're not subscribed to the channel, it's super helpful if you can quick throw a sub there, give the video a thumbs up. It makes the channel grow. I'm trying to do a little more YouTube stuff, but I want to do it to an actual audience, and the more people discover the content on YouTube, the more inclined I am to do that. So if you can take a second out to do that, that's very much appreciated and very helpful. Scott asked, why was Loyola given an 8 seed, number 9 on KenPom? Yeah, they're the biggest KenPom outlier. No, actually, Loyola and Wisconsin, I think, are both top 10 KenPom teams that had 8 and 9 seeds. But I think Loyola is still kind of fighting against the mid-major thing, and KenPom's a metric that liked them, but they're not necessarily there in net. They're not showing up in the AP poll. I don't think they won the regular season title either. So I think 8 is too deep. I think maybe a 5 or a 6 might have made a little more sense. The committee's not going to go straight KenPom, straight advanced analytics, but they're definitely an outlier. And they're leading up to the tournament, I was writing about teams that I was most worried about Michigan drawing, and I was worried that a team like Loyola would fall to that 8 line. So as much as people are worried about LSU, and there are some matchup components of that scare me, I'd rather play LSU than Loyola. And I'm very glad that Michigan avoided that. And I think it's fantastic karma that our wonderful friends in the Illini fan base get to deal with that firsthand. Big Bubba Blue says, think no crowds thing is really affecting the bigger seats. I can see a little bit of that. I've talked to some Michigan people that are actually at the game, and I think a lot of these bigger seeds still have larger fan bases. So even though it's the reduced capacity, you're still getting a little bit of a um, favorable environment, having more fans than your opposition, which is more of a home court advantage than a lot of these teams had during the regular season, because a lot of these teams have played in front of no crowds. But it's definitely not that usual NCAA tournament environment. I will say, having been at some tournament games before, a lot of times when you have those fans from 4 different fan bases or 8 different fan bases at a venue, you'll have the top seed that'll have their big fan base, but a lot of times all the other fan bases kind of rally together and root for the Cinderella. So that component isn't there either. So it kind of balances out. But I definitely think um, there's some validity to that. I know LSU is known to not have solid D, but where specifically do you think they can take advantage? Hunter inside, pick and roll, Frowns cutting. Yeah, I think Michigan's offense is going to be able to do what it wants to do against LSU's defense. I think one of the things that makes LSU so hard to defend is they have a lot of their size. They have a lot of 6'4", 6'6" guards, but at the same time, outside of Watford, who I think is 6'9", everyone else is kind of in that 6'4", 6'6" range. So they're not going to have a lot of size to take on your Dickinson in the post. They're I'll be interested to see if they decide to double Dickinson, which I think would open up a lot of looks for the rest of the Michigan offense. But I think Michigan is going to be able to get what it wants on offense. You mentioned Franz cutting. I'd love to see Franz be a little more aggressive, take more shots. I think he had 7 or 8 shots last game. He wasn't necessarily needed to do more, so I understand. I'm not going to completely chalk that up to him being passive, but you're going to need a Franz Wagner to step up and do more offensively than he's been doing. I'm thinking he'll be on Cameron Thomas on defense, so that might slow him down a little bit. And I think the best way he can impact the game is by shutting down and taking out Cameron Thomas on defense. So there are ways he can not be super involved in the offense where I still think he can make an impact. But if there's a game where Michigan really needs Wagner to step up and not be necessarily a good complementary number 2 type guy and really show that he can take over a game, now's the time to do it. And this is the stage where he needs to do it. He's going to be entering the draft next year. I think there's a lot of talk of him as a lottery guy. So this could be a great opportunity for him, and obviously a great opportunity for Michigan. VCU Oregon cancellation kind of lowered my expectation for the tournament. Can't wait for a tournament with no concerns that has full capacity. Yeah, that just sucks. It's actually somewhat impressive that we're at 97% of the games being pleaded. I was wondering if they'd get through unscathed, but you just feel terrible for VCU. Uh, so that sucks. But I mean, at the same time, the tournament is still going on pretty well. And yes, I wish there would be a full crowd. I wish there wouldn't be COVID, but the alternative last year was not having a tournament at all. So I'm actually pretty impressed that things have gone off without too. What's the one key point that would lead to Michigan to a victory over LSU? I think if Michigan can eliminate Cameron Thomas, he's averaging in the low to mid 20s. I think if you can make other people beat you, I think that's going to be a good chance. But I would say, I wrote about this a little bit in my newsletter yesterday. Michigan's guards. Eli Brooks is an excellent defender. I don't need to tell you that. But if he has a little bit of a kryptonite, it's guarding bigger guards. I think Ohio State's kind of punished him a little bit inside. Happened in a couple other Big Ten games, and Mike Smith's a 5'11" guy, so you're going to have two guards that are essentially 6-foot guards having to guard 6'4" guys. And if LSU schemes around that to try to take advantage, I'm worried about that. So if Michigan can limit LSU's guards to sort of physically taking them over, then I think Michigan's in pretty good shape. What percent? I'm super sorry. I have to jump out for 30 seconds, but I will be right back. Sorry, you decide to schedule a YouTube chat and then you forgot that you put dinner in the oven for kids. So I forgot what we were talking about. That's not good. What chance do you give Livers to return weekend 2 weeks? I don't think he's going to be back. It would be great if he could pleasantly surprise people, but I think you should just assume that that's not going to happen. Do you think Michigan's offense has just become really passive lately? Almost as if no one wants to take the shots. Also, what's going on with Sean D? Been a total zero lately. Yeah, I think there's an element of people not wanting to step up and be the aggressor. I think Mike Smith is probably the person who has taken the most on his shoulders post Isaiah Livers. I don't have box scores in front of me, but I feel like he's been leading the team in shot attempts since then. I think the team's priority is always going to be to try to get it down to Dickinson down low. And I think I'm pretty sure that's how they'll start with LSU. But Michigan's offense is versatile enough to where they can sort of let the defense dictate how they're going to run. If they want to play Dickinson straight up, I don't think Watford can stop Dickinson, and I think Dickinson's going to attempt a lot of shots and hopefully make a lot of them. But if they're going to collapse on him, then I want him to be aggressive. And we've seen in other games like the Ohio State game the Ohio State game in Columbus, I should say, that he can really look to shoot and LSU's guards are a lot bigger than. Okay, yeah, that's basically saying what I was saying. Is Texas really top dog anymore? LOL, they're the new Tennessee. Yeah, Texas. I mean, Shaka Smart's been there for 6 years, and they haven't won a tournament game yet. I don't know much more what to say about that. It's a school like Texas should be competing. Their athletic department, one of the top 3 revenue athletic departments in the country each year. They just showed they'd spend a lot of money to replace Tom Herman when there's a lot of contractual money still there. And I wonder if they'll do the same for Shaka. I think he's got about $7 million more on the hook for a buyout, but a school like Texas should be making NCAA tournament runs, not having a 6-year drought without winning a game. It's pretty crazy. But like I said, last night's game was exciting. It wasn't particularly well played, but it's one of those games that is what makes the tournament super special, because Abilene Christian is kind of this super tiny school out of the Southland, but they're incredibly pesky, get in your face, disruptive, force 22, 23 turnovers, something like that. And it's just one of those really cool moments that makes March special. Who needs to step up for Michigan tomorrow? Bigger game than usual. I mean, I think Franz is the X factor. He's the best player on this team right now, and he's doing a lot of things that don't show up in a box score necessarily. But I think he needs to do a few more of those things that does show up in the box score, particularly with scoring. Michigan's going to have opportunities to score. It's a defense that it should be able to um, X and O around and give itself good looks. But that's what happened to Texas Southern yesterday too. I mean, Michigan played fine, but they gave each other open looks all game, and they just didn't make a lot of them. So they need to make a lot of shots. Also, just talked about Shawnee Brown, but I think he's going to be super important too. And I think he'll probably be playing more minutes because of those big LSU guards. When Michigan is going to have Mike Smith and Eli Brooks in the game at the same time, I think it's going to put them at a little bit of a disadvantage against two larger guards. Shawnee Brown's one of the best defenders on the team, can guard a very large variety of players. So I think you'll see him playing even more minutes. I'm very confident in the defense he'll give, but I think Michigan needs him to make some big shots, shots that haven't been falling the last couple of weeks. If Michigan gets tripped up tomorrow, how does it happen? How will Howard prepare for this? Juwan Howard can only do what he can do. You give him the right game plan, and eventually it comes down to the players executing. And I think the most likely way Michigan loses is if it goes cold on offense. You think about the last time they lost in the NCAA tournament, the Sweet 16 game against Texas Tech a couple of years ago. They were just completely cold. Texas Tech's a good defensive team, and some of it had to do with them, but Michigan missed its first 18 threes in that game or something, and you're not going to win games if you go super cold, and that's what they did, and that's the recipe for defeat against a team like LSU. LSU is going to score. LSU is a great offensive team, top 5 in the country. Michigan's going to get good looks to score, but they're going to have to complete them. And we'll wrap it up with this. Illinois still winning this game. Hope they don't. Gun to my head, I will say that Illinois will win this game. They're down 9 at halftime, and it looks like that halftime is about ready to start back up. And I will end it here, but I hope I am wrong. But I do think Illinois will escape with a win. I'm not a Big Ten pride person. If you followed me during the Michigan State and Ohio State games, you know that. Hoping Illinois on the sidelines, but ultimately, I think they're just too talented of a team, and I think they'll find a way to win. But I hope to be very wrong. So thanks for hopping on here just for a quick 20-minute chat. It was fun. Excited about March. Excited about tomorrow's game, and appreciate you guys taking the time to chat for a little bit. We'll see you, and go Blue.